Just came from the gym. Had a great shoulder workout. Now, so Zack is going to talk about the backlash that he got from Batman v Superman. He's going to talk about the Martha memes. You know what I always thought would have been better for that? If you wanted to do it in a way to where it resurfaced Bruce's trauma of seeing his parents killed. What you could have did is did it like this. You could have said, okay. When he's got his foot on his neck, and he says to him, instead of saying Martha, all he needs to say is, save Martha Kent. And in that, he hears Martha, but Batman hears Martha, but Kent doesn't really register because Martha is also his mother's name. And that's when he's all like, you know what I mean? We hear Martha Kent. He only hears Martha, and maybe you hear that lightly echo, and then you see the flashback roll in. And then he keeps asking him, why are you saying that name? Why he's stepping on his throat. Of course, he can't talk anymore. He's injured by the kryptonite and everything. And that's when Lois comes in and says that's his mother's name. And maybe he hears Martha Kent. Or she says, that's his mother's name, Martha Kent. And then he kind of snaps back. And then everything goes as usual. I thought that would have been better. I didn't like that he said Martha, because I was thinking to myself, kind of in the movie too, I was like, that kind of doesn't feel right. I feel like if it was me and I had the whole Superman nature and I was the religious figure, the God man, all this selflessness and everything, and I just feel like, so that Batman knew who she was, save Martha Kent. Save my mother, Martha Kent. That's what I would have said. Save my mother, Martha Kent. And then he would have kind of, maybe he had his flashback or whatever. But that's my whole thing, how I feel about it. All right. So apparently Zack did an interview that people want me to check out. And let's see here. Comicbookmovie.com. Zack Snyder talks about Batman v Superman. Backlash! Martha memes and whether Christian Bale was eyed to return. Okay, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice was one of the most anticipated superhero movies ever before its release in March 16. Unfortunately, it opened to a largely negative reviews after a massive opening weekend, suffered a catastrophic 69% drop during week 2. For those of you that have only seen the theatrical version is a Batman movie. If you watch the ultimate version, that is a Superman movie. For what I understand, it literally is supposed to be Man of Steel 2. So we got Man of Steel 2. You get what I'm saying? But I understand why you feel the way you feel. You want it to be a solely Superman movie. What's his name? Kevin Smith, is it? Kevin Smith was talking about it. He did a whole video explaining it with one of his buddies of why it truly was Man of Steel 2. Even though people keep asking for Man of Steel 2, he explained why it's actually Man of Steel 2. And I was like, oh, interesting. Like, he talked about the business side of it and everything. And I was like, oh. But anyway, the movie eventually grossed $874.4 million worldwide, but was considered a box office disappointment by Warner Bros. With that, the studio went into panic mode and made sweeping changes to Suicide Squad and Justice League, none of which worked out for them. They went into panic mode after Man of Steel because they wanted something to go up against the Avengers. I remember reading about this and I'm like, you're just starting out. Marvel cultivated this over several years. And you're going to do something that stupid as to rush? Why? You're Warner Bros. You've made some of the greatest movies of all time. Run your own race. What is wrong with you? Why did you panic? That is so stupid. So stupid. That's such a stupid decision to make. And we see what it did. All that damn studio interference. It's like two guys that pull hot women. This one's single. This one was single and just pulled a hot chick. Now you rush. This one starts rushing and picks anything he can. Now you got a girlfriend, but you ain't happy, are you? No. Disappointment. Because you're trying to keep up with your Joneses. Just run your race. You both pull bad bitches. Just wait until you pull one. Women do that too. Their girlfriends get a boyfriend and then they just, because they don't want to be alone, they settle for any dude that's got a good line. And then they end up being disappointed. Yeah, because you're desperate. Run your own race. For fans, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice suffered from many issues. Now for me, it didn't have many issues. I loved it. But the Martha thing is an issue for me. It's not perfection. And I'd rather not have had that type of Lex Luthor at all. At all. Like, I need a Lex Luthor from the comics. I need a Lex Luthor from at least the animated Superman series. I mean, that would have been, to me, much better, you know. Those ranged from confusing nightmare sequence to the rush. Yeah, the nightmare sequence was a little confusing because it's like, well, if he was sleeping, why did he see the Flash? Does the Flash have a way of beaming into your consciousness? Because I didn't know that. I figured he would have been awake for that. You know what I mean? So anyway, sequence to the rushed introduction of the characters like Aquaman, the Flash. However, one of the biggest sticking points was the Dark Knight's fight with the Man of Steel, ending when Bruce Wayne learned that Superman's mother was also called Martha. In a lengthy interview, Josh Horowitz, filmmaker Zack Snyder, was asked for his thoughts on the backlash the movie received, pointing out it would be considered a $1 billion movie adjusted for inflation. Snyder explained why he believes his R-rated director's cut of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice is ultimately the superior version. Quote, I think the director's cut of Batman v Superman is really the movie that I was trying to make. It's a better movie than the movie that was theatrically released. That's my feeling, he shared. I still love the theatrical release, and I'm not mad at it. I just think that the real intent that Chris Terrio and I had was in the director's cut. You know, I've seen Zack get backlash on this about, if he can't tell a story in the time limit needed by the studio, then he's not the director for the job, or he's not a good director. First of all, that doesn't mean he's not a good director. There's studio meddling and involvement in so many movies, you have no idea. I'm only partially, like a partial of a partial movie buff. And the stuff that I have learned about some movies and the interference that has destroyed some movies and effed up some movies is extraordinary. Some movies have had studio interference, and it was great. The studio knew what they were doing by interfering, but it doesn't always work out that way, okay? The Dark Knight, one of the greatest superhero movies of all time, has a couple of flaws in it, and one of them is how they shoehorned in Two-Face and killed him after that. It's like, wait, what? Wait, I thought he was knocked out. I was like, there's no way they killed him off that fast. They shoehorned him in that fast, and then there's no way. Okay? So, no director out there is perfect. Nolan ain't perfect. Zack ain't perfect. Cameron ain't perfect. They're not all perfect. But you gotta remember, on top of them not being perfect, even though they're great directors, sometimes there's studio interference that things up. My 100% honest reaction to Batman v Superman and how it's received in the world is that, do you really want a movie that's had all the edges shaved off it by the focus groups? See? Do you really want a movie where decisions have been made in the boardroom? Look at this. I guess I just had a feeling, huh? In the boardroom where tested ideas are being rendered for your enjoyment. Do you really want the Kmart version of your story? Is that what you really want? I would argue that that's fine to make fun of Martha, Snyder added, addressing the mockery that surrounds the scene. It is true in canon that Batman and Superman's mothers are both named Martha. That is a fact of the comic book world. Whether or not that is a thing, you feel like Batman with the hovering spear of destiny over Superman's heart. Those words, seeing what he believes is a creature that he's demonized in his mind. He continued before detailing the pushback he had from the MPA on the movie's intended PG-13 rating. Long story, they really didn't like the idea of Batman and Superman fighting on screen, which is absolutely stupid. They have in the comic books. They didn't like that idea, but it was okay for Civil War. It was okay for the Avengers to fight each other. See the stupidity of that? Like how far out of touch are certain people in the entertainment industry where they would think we don't want to see Batman and Superman fight. Okay? And it's one of those things where people have fought about this over years. The fact of the matter is, without prep time, Batman loses to a ton of people. Okay? So many people obliterate him. Even when he's got things on him that could help him. You know, he's the guy that's, kind of like James Bond. He's prepared for almost every situation. But he can be beaten. He can be caught. He can be killed. But because he's such a popular character, the writers find ways for him to beat other people up. So if he's got the prep time, he beats almost anybody. Okay, if he's got the prep time. And if the other characters don't waste time, which most of them do, either because they're good people, like Superman, or because they're gloating like villains. You know what I'm saying? So, Snyder noted 100% there's no chance that anyone would give up about Batman v Superman if we had done the straight down the road, every commercial version. A colorful, bright, and shiny movie. It wouldn't be BVS, it would have been BNS. While he intended to continue the story across multiple Justice League movies, Snyder also had plans for a Man of Steel sequel, which he now confirmed was set to revolve around Brainiac, which everybody wanted to see, So I guess business-wise, it would have been Man of Steel 3, but public-wise, it would have been Man of Steel 2. Back to Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and the filmmaker confirmed that there were never plans to pit Henry Cavill's Man of Tomorrow against Christian Bale or Joseph Gordon-Levitt's respective versions of Batman after The Dark Knight Rises. Oh, okay. Joseph is an amazing actor. I don't think it was for me to flesh out. I think if Bale had stayed, if it had ended with Christian Bale standing on the building overlooking Gotham, silhouetted by the lights of Gotham, then there's that's a serious conversation. If he's not in Italy, retired, drinking wine and relaxing, if he's a current crime fighter, then I think those universes could have mixed. Quote, unquote, we never talked about that. Snyder continued, referring to Christopher Nolan, the Dark Knight trilogy helmer, who was an executive producer on Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. You can hear much more from Snyder in the player below. So there you have it, folks. There you have it. Very, very interesting. Maybe I'll check out the whole video when I get a chance. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you think, mate. 10 million subscribers.